Have you ever wondered how far human strength, wit, and willpower can truly go? Step into the epic world of Greek mythology, where Heracles, the legendary half-god, half-man, took on impossible challenges. He battled the impenetrable Nemean Lion, vanquished the venomous Hydra, subdued man-eating horses, and even journeyed into the depths of the underworld to confront Cerberus, the terrifying three-headed hound guarding the gates of the dead. These were not just feats of muscle, but of mind and spirit, a timeless testament to the power within us all. If you want to learn more details about the life and personality of this great hero, don't forget to watch our video, Heracles, the mighty demigod in ancient Greek mythology, that we've uploaded on the channel. Hera, the queen of the gods and wife of Zeus, was consumed by jealousy toward Heracles from the moment he was born. In a cruel act of divine vengeance, she struck him with madness, leading the great hero to unknowingly commit the unthinkable, taking the lives of his own wife and children. The weight of this tragedy haunted Heracles deeply, marking the beginning of his long path to redemption. To atone for his unbearable guilt, Heracles sought guidance, and a prophet instructed him to travel to Tiryns and serve King Eurystheus. There, the mighty hero was bound to obey every command without question. In an attempt to break him, the king set forth 12 near-impossible trials, challenges so great they would become legend, the 12 labors of Heracles. Labor 1, slay the Nemean Lion. The first task King Eurystheus gave Heracles was nothing short of deadly, to slay the Nemean Lion, a monstrous beast with bronze-like claws and a hide no blade could pierce. Dwelling in a dark cave between Mycenae and Nemea, the lion terrorized the land, brutally killing any who dared approach. It was a test not just of strength, but of cunning and sheer will, the beginning of Heracles' legendary trials. Realizing his arrows were useless against the lion's impenetrable hide, Heracles turned to brute force. He wielded his mighty club, driving the beast deep into its cave where it had no room to flee. In the darkness, with nothing but his hands, Heracles wrestled the monster and strangled it to death. When the battle ended, he skinned the lion and donned its hide as armor, a symbol of his triumph and a shield that would protect him in the trials to come. Labor 2, slay the Lernaean Hydra. His second task was to slay a creature far more terrifying than the Nemean Lion. This time it was the Lernaean Hydra, a giant water serpent guarding the gates of the underworld. It had many heads, and whenever Hercules cut one off, 2 more would grow in its place. Even worse, its middle head was immortal, making it impossible to kill with an ordinary sword. With the guidance of Athena, goddess of wisdom and battle strategy, and the help of his loyal nephew Iolaus, Heracles faced the dreaded Hydra. Each time he severed a head, 2 more would grow in its place. But together, they discovered a way. Iolaus scorched each neck with fire, sealing the wounds and halting the regrowth. At last, Heracles cut off the immortal head using Athena's sacred sword. With the beast slain, he dipped his arrows in the Hydra's venomous blood, arming himself with death itself for the trials yet to come. Labor 3, capture the Ceryneian Hind. High upon Mount Cerynea roamed a radiant deer with golden antlers, a creature sacred to the goddess Artemis. Heracles was tasked with capturing it alive, a trial of patience rather than strength. For days, he pursued the swift creature through ancient forests and across icy rivers, never once losing its trail. At last, with great care, he hurled a dart that struck just one leg, enough to halt its flight, but not to harm. With reverence, he captured the divine beast, completing the task without shedding a drop of blood. When Artemis discovered that her sacred deer had been wounded, her fury blazed like the midday sun. But Heracles, calm and wise, explained that he acted only under the orders of King Eurystheus, that he had meant no harm. Moved by his honesty and reverence, the goddess's anger softened. Instead of punishment, she offered him a gift, a radiant staff glowing with 7 divine colors, a token of forgiveness, and a blessing from Olympus itself. Labor 4, capture the Erymanthian Boar. Legend tells of the fearsome Erymanthian boar, a giant beast with razor-sharp tusks and the strength to lay waste to anything in its path. It terrorized the slopes of Mount Erymanthus, leaving only ruin in its wake. Seeking wisdom, Heracles turned to the noble centaur Chiron, who counseled him to wait for winter, when snow would silence the land. When the mountains lay frozen and still, Heracles lured the beast into the deep snow, where its strength faltered, and there, the great hero struck. The plan unfolded flawlessly. Disoriented by the blinding snow, the mighty boar stumbled helplessly through the frozen wilderness. Seizing the moment, Heracles bound the beast with ease and brought it back in triumph to King Eurystheus. But instead of praise, the king was consumed with rage, for once again, Heracles had returned alive, victorious, and unbroken by a task meant to destroy him. Labor 5, Clean the Augean Stables. Frustrated that all his deadly schemes had failed, King Eurystheus devised a new kind of punishment for Heracles, not to kill him, but to humiliate him. For his fifth labor, the hero was ordered to clean the stables of King Augeas, a task so filthy it was meant to shame. The stables hadn't been touched in 30 years and housed over 3,000 cattle. The filth was unimaginable. But Heracles faced it, not with complaint, but with resolve, for no trial, no matter how degrading, could break the spirit of a true hero. However, before beginning the task, Heracles struck a deal, asking King Augeas to pay him once the stables were clean. True to his clever nature, Heracles didn't lift a shovel. Instead, he diverted the course of two mighty rivers, sending their waters rushing through the stables and washing away decades of filth in a single day. But when Eurystheus learned of the bargain, he declared the labor invalid. In his bitterness, he added 7 more trials, hoping, once again, to break the unbreakable hero. Labor 6, Slay the Stymphalian Birds. For his 6th labor, Heracles was sent to the shadowy shores of Lake Stymphalia, a place haunted by deadly creatures known as the Stymphalian Birds. These monstrous, man-eating birds had bronze beaks and razor-sharp feathers that could be launched like a storm of arrows. Their screeches echoed through the darkened skies, and none who wandered near the lake had ever returned. But Heracles was no ordinary wanderer, and fear had long ceased to be his companion. Though the birds were sacred to Ares, the god of war, it was Athena, goddess of wisdom and strategy, who came once more to Heracles' aid. She gifted him a massive bronze rattle, crafted by the divine blacksmith Hephaestus himself. As Heracles shook it, the sky thundered with its sound, startling the deadly birds into flight. Their armored wings beat furiously, but their soft underbellies were exposed, and with calm precision, Heracles struck them down one by one. The survivors fled, and at last, Lake Stymphalia knew peace again. Labor 7, Capture the Cretan Bull. This was no ordinary beast, it was the sacred bull once offered by King Minos to Poseidon. But when the sea god turned his gaze elsewhere, the creature broke free and ran wild. Unchecked and enraged, it tore across the island of Crete, trampling fields, destroying harvests, and bringing terror to all who crossed its path. What was meant to be a divine gift had become a living curse, and only Heracles could stop its rampage. Heracles was ordered to capture the wild bull so it could be sacrificed to Hera. King Minos, eager to be rid of the beast that had plagued his island, gladly handed it over. But Hera, ever resentful of Heracles, rejected the offering outright. The bull was released, left to roam freely. It later made its way to the plains of Marathon, where fate awaited it once more, in the form of another great hero, Theseus. Labor 8, Steal the Mares of Diomedes. For his 8th labor, Heracles was sent to the wild and savage land of Thrace, where he was tasked with stealing the infamous horses of King Diomedes. These were no ordinary steeds, they were vicious, man-eating beasts, feared even by warriors. Eurystheus, hoping to finally see Heracles fall, believed that either the bloodthirsty horses or the brutal king himself would bring the hero's end. But once again, he underestimated the strength, and the spirit, of Heracles. According to legend, Heracles turned Diomedes' own cruelty against him. He cast the brutal king to his monstrous steeds, and once they had fed on their master, their hunger for human flesh vanished. With the beasts finally tamed, Heracles bound them with ease and led them back to Eurystheus. What was meant to be his end had become yet another triumph, forged not only by strength, but by strategy. Labor 9, retrieve the belt of Hippolyta. When King Eurystheus heard tales of a magnificent belt worn by Hippolyta, the fierce and noble queen of the Amazons, he coveted it as a gift for his daughter. And so, for Heracles' ninth labor, he was sent into the heart of Amazon territory, not to slay a beast or move a mountain, but to take by cunning or force what belonged to a warrior queen. It would be a trial unlike any he had faced before, one of diplomacy, danger, and divine will. At first, the task seemed simple. Queen Hippolyta, moved by Heracles' honor, agreed to give him the belt willingly. But Hera, ever vengeful, spread whispers of deceit, convincing the Amazons that Heracles had come to abduct their queen. Chaos erupted. Surrounded and betrayed, Heracles believed Hippolyta had turned against him. In the confusion and heartbreak of battle, he struck her down and took the belt. What began as a gift ended in tragedy, a reminder that even the greatest heroes are not free from the cruelty of the gods. Labor 10, steal the cattle of Geryon. For his 10th labor, Heracles was sent to the distant land of Erythea to steal the prized cattle of Geryon, a fearsome giant with 3 bodies joined as one. Guarding the herd was Orthrus, a vicious 2-headed hound, snarling and ready to strike. But Heracles, undeterred, met the beast head-on. With a single blow of his mighty club, he felled the creature, clearing the path to yet another legendary trial. Clad in bronze armor and wielding a great spear, Geryon confronted Heracles in a clash of giants. But the hero was ready. With calm precision, he drew a single arrow, its tip soaked in the deadly poison of the Hydra, and loosed it straight into the giant's forehead. Geryon fell, and Heracles claimed the crimson cattle. With the herd in tow, he began the long journey back to Eurystheus, proving once again that no distance, no monster, no king could stand in his way. Labor 11, retrieve the golden apples of the Hesperides. Far beyond the known world lay the garden of the Hesperides, a hidden paradise where 3 golden apples of immortality shimmered on a sacred tree. These divine fruits were fiercely guarded by the serpent-like dragon Ladon, who never slept, and the Hesperides nymphs, daughters of the evening sky. Few dared seek such a treasure, and fewer still returned. Through cunning and quiet steps, Heracles slipped past the ever-watchful dragon Ladon and entered the sacred garden unnoticed. There, beneath starlit boughs, he took the 3 golden apples of immortality and vanished without a trace. When he returned to Eurystheus, the king was not filled with awe, but with frustration. He had counted on Ladon to end the hero's journey, yet once again, Heracles stood before him, undefeated. Labor 12, capture Cerberus. The 12th and final labor was to bring back Cerberus, the 3-headed watchdog of the underworld. Of all the trials Heracles had faced, this was the most perilous. To descend into the underworld, a realm where no mortal belonged, and to capture Cerberus, the monstrous 3-headed hound of Hades, was a task beyond reckoning. Cerberus was no ordinary beast, and to lay hands on him risked inciting the wrath of Hades himself, Lord of the Dead. This was not just a labor of strength, but a descent into death's own domain. But Heracles did not steal or deceive, he stood before Hades himself and asked for permission. The god of the underworld agreed, on one condition: Cerberus must be taken by strength alone. And so, with nothing but his bare hands, Heracles wrestled the 3-headed beast into submission. When he emerged from the realm of the dead and stood once more before Eurystheus, the king, broken by failure and fear, fell to his knees. He begged Heracles to return the creature to the underworld, and at last, declared the labors complete. The 12 labors of Heracles were more than legendary feats, they were a journey of spirit, will, and wisdom. Each task, from wearing the Nemean Lion's invincible hide, to cleansing the Augean Stables with ingenuity, to facing the terror of Cerberus in the depths of the underworld, became a mirror of human struggle. These trials remind us, true strength is not muscle alone, but the union of courage, intellect, and compassion. Only by mastering both the monsters around us, and the ones within, can we become heroes of our own stories. If you were Heracles today, which labor would you conquer to write your own legend? Share below.